third time there was something wrong with the mic, and now this is the fourth time, and hopefully it sounds okay. You know what? It's actually this material. It makes a lot of weird, weird noises. Okay, let's forget about the introduction, okay? Because I'm worried that something's gonna happen and it's just not gonna work again. For those of you that don't know, Prophet was guys, my mind is so empty. I really wanna talk about the learning that I've done for Surah Yasin, but I am really exhausted. I have been working all day and I don't want to come out here and give that same energy, you know, like I don't want that, but okay, let me try to collect my thoughts. So, Surah Yasin, Ayat 1, Yasin. Imagine that you are learning a new language. What is the first thing that one is most likely to learn? The alphabets, the sounds the alphabets make, and then how to sort of put those sounds together into sentences to create words and meanings, right? And let's say that you were to hear somebody, let's say, I don't know, I'm thinking of an example. Let's say that you hear a sound and that person tells you, listen, this sound is actually the sound of an alphabet in this, an X language. For you, a person that does not speak that language will not care at all what the sound is, because it doesn't hold any meaning for you. You don't even understand it. It has no meaning, no value, nothing for you. That is the state of our messenger. In Islam, we believe in many prophets, some same prophets that the Bible and the Torah share. And in fact, as Muslims, we recognize that the Bible, the Torah, and the Injil were in fact sent down by the Creator. And the messenger in Islam, the last messenger, is Muhammad alayhi salam. He was an orphan. He lived with his uncle, who was known as the most honest person in his community, or the Quraysh, the tribes of the time. He was a shepherd, and he used to sort of isolate himself from everyone, and go into a cave on Mount Hera and just meditate. Now, a person, forgot to mention the most important point. He does not know how to read or write. So when Yasin was revealed, this is God teaching. There's two meanings. One, God is teaching our messenger the alphabets, the Quran, right? Teaching how to speak. And number two, it is a sign for those who are willing to listen. How can a man that does not know how to read or write produce these letters? less value, but can you hear that? Sounds nice. But the Quraysh, or his people at the time, if there was one thing that they had, it was their language. They were very, very advanced in linguistics. They were poets. They could write, articulate in ways that are crazy, even beyond Shakespeare, beyond any of those amazing writers that we recognize today. So for them to hear and see a man from their fellow, area, because when I say area, it's a tribe. They all live together, they know each other, and so on. And to come out here and say the words Yasin, let alone the entire Quran, it was crazy for them. And that's why Prophet was constantly labeled as a madman. Anyway, so that is Yasin. Let's move on to Ayat 2. Ayat 2. So, Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim. I swear by the Hakim Quran. Now, what is the meaning of Hakim? There's 1, 2, 3 meanings of Hakim. How many? 1, 2, 3 meanings of Hakim. So one of the meanings of Hakim is wisdom. The second meaning is one that is really authoritative, and gives verdict and judgment with an unapologetic tone. And the third meaning is that something is really well knit. There are no loose ends. It's very strongly knit together. So, Allah is making an oath on the Quran that is filled with wisdom. It is authoritative, unapologetically authoritative, gives verdicts, and it is tightly knit. So, yeah, Hakim. Now, there are 2 things to note. When Allah makes an oath, then the next statement that will follow will prove that the oath is in fact true. So I actually completely forgot to give an introduction to this, the period of when this was revealed, because my mind is everywhere right now. But the period of when this was revealed is when it's during the Meccan period, before the Muslims migrated to Medina. So it was the time when Prophet had just come out and started inviting people to believe in one God and one Creator. And a lot of people were ridiculing him. He was going through a lot of hardship at that time, and he felt really anxious, not because of what was being said about him, but because he was worried that the people's hereafter will not be a good one, and that was stressing him out. So Surah Yasin, the first 3-4 verses are God talking directly to Prophet and advising him and consoling him. Okay, Okay, so now that we've sort of set the stage of what was going on at the time of when it was revealed, it makes more sense why Yasin comes down, right? Allah is reminding Prophet that I am your teacher, and it's also a sign for the Quraysh at the time to know that a human being like him who cannot read, who cannot write, who is an orphan, who is a shepherd, who does not have these linguistics advancements, let alone even a mediocre level, produce something like this. So, then Allah says, I swear by the Hakim Quran, the Quran that is filled with wisdom, gives verdict and a judgment, and is tightly knit. So, Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim. Innaka lamina al-mursalin. Innaka lamina al-mursalin. Ala siratim mustaqim. Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim. Innaka lamina al-mursalin. Ala siratim mustaqim. Indeed, third verse, indeed, there is no doubt that you are among those who have been chosen, among those messengers who have been chosen. Number 4, on a committed, straight path. Now there are a couple of meanings here as well. Number 1, Allah is reminding the Prophet that he is part of a greater brotherhood. A greater brotherhood. And that there have been others among him, and that he's not alone in such a mission. And it is fact that you indeed have been sent, and you need to, just warn, which is the next ayat that comes up. But basically the point of Allah saying this, you are on a path that is extremely difficult. It is filled with a lot of hardships. It is a straight path that is not easy. But it's okay because you're a part of this brotherhood. So that is the message for the Prophet. But what about the Quraysh at the time? For them, it's kind of like saying, this is the same messenger that you are ridiculing, that you are not believing, that you have suddenly changed your entire narrative about, and he still keeps coming back, right? He doesn't back down. He keeps continuing to invite you towards the belief in one God. There is absolutely no way that he himself would choose this for himself. Indeed, he is among those who has been sent. And that proves his oath, because the oath Allah made was that he swears on the Hakim Quran. Now remember how I earlier mentioned that when Allah makes an oath of something, the next statement that is produced is evidence of the oath, that the oath in fact is true. Now how do we know that the Quran is in fact Hakim? Well, we know that no normal person would want to put themselves into such hardship purposely. Tanzil al-Aziz. So Tanzil, it's kind of like if you were to translate it, it basically means that God is saying it has been set down, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Lots of exclamation marks. So it has come from a place that nobody has access to. It is beyond our reach. Right? Now, what does Aziz mean? Aziz comes from the root word Izza, which essentially means respect and authority. The Quran demands respect and authority simultaneously. Now, we can see in the modern world that one can have respect but have no power or authority, or one can have power and authority but not respect. A modern, very, very new modern example to give is what's going on in Pakistan right now. Imran Khan is respected by the people of Pakistan, at least the majority. But all his power has been taken away from him. Meanwhile, the current Prime Minister of Pakistan has all the power but zero respect. The Quran, on the other hand, right, it demands respect and it demands authority. So it has come from a place there. This is something that has been sent down from a place, from or by the most respected and the highest authority. Okay. And Al-Rahim. So we have merciful here too, which you're like, okay, why is merciful here? When we're talking about authority, we're talking about respect. We discussed Hakim, which also is sort of related to the idea of, judgment, verdict, and whatever. So why is Rahim here, which means merciful, for those who don't know? Well, it's because the Quran has been sent down through the mouth of one of the most merciful human beings in the world to exist at that time. And Prophet was chosen and sent upon this path, on this mission, on this committed path, through the Aziz and Ar-Rahim, because Prophet himself is Ar-Rahim in terms, not obviously not in the way that Allah is. No, astaghfirullah, that's not what I mean. I mean, he is one of the most merciful human. So the Quran is being yeah. Okay, I think I don't need to elaborate on that any further. So the Prophet was chosen, and he is a rahmah, a mercy to those who want to listen to the message. Then Allah says, Aziz ar-Rahim, لِتُنْزِلَ قَوْمًا مَا أُنْزِلَ آبَاؤُهُمْ فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ. You are given this revelation to warn those whose ancestors never did. So, when we look back at the previous ayat, we know that Prophet is struggling a lot. So Allah has reminded him that when you're not alone, you're on this path. It's a difficult one. You have been sent. You have been sent by the one who is Aziz and Ar-Rahim, and your job only is to warn, especially those people whose ancestors never got the warning. And we know that the Quraysh never got the warning because all the previous books, or prophets like Isa, Jesus, Moses, David, Abraham, I don't need to say these, but Isa, Ibrahim, Musa, Noah, Noor, mean, bruh. He's like, oh, you know, you're very intelligent and you seem to know your stuff around, so how could you possibly believe in God? And it was just funny because, I don't know, I love science and I love reading. I love anything, you know, sociology, psychology, these are some of my favorite subjects, and in the end, all of that just leads me towards, or rather strengthens my conclusion that God is real, and that there is in fact a creator. But for others, it could have the opposite effect, right? They could conclude that, oh, there is just a very highly unlikely possibility that God exists, right? So it's like that. Allah just put a barrier in front of them, and they're just never gonna believe all the signs there in front of them. Then putting a barrier behind them implies looking at history, looking at our traditions, looking at what has already been taught by humanity all this time. Until today, modern academics use the theories of the former academics of the past to build on their theories, right? And that applies for literally any field, from mathematics to science to psychology. Like Sigmund Freud, bro, like this guy, my God, his work is being taught in literally the entire world, I want to say, which is crazy, right? But so the past matters. The knowledge that we gain from the past matters. It is significant, but then Allah blocks that for them too. In any ways, the Arabs never received any warning, as we discussed earlier. So that's also blocked away. And then finally, above you implies that the Quran itself, the message of the Quran, will never reach your heart. That's it. Allah put a block right there, and it's done. You're never gonna believe, and that's really scary to think about, honestly. Really, really scary. You know, I've heard people say that the Quran is really rude, it's really cruel, it's really savage, and we don't want to believe in a God like this that is so rude and mean and whatever. And usually they're talking about the violent verses or the violent description of hell. Let me just ask you something. Let's say that your boy called you up and he's like, yo, my man, like, don't come through because, like, your house is on fire right now. If you're coming through, like, call the firemen or something, you know. Obviously, you are not going to enter the house, and you're going to thank your friend that your friend called you up and warned you that your house is in trouble and that you should avoid, you know, going back home. But if your friend called you and said, yo, broski, there's something going on in the house, it's bad, don't go there, you're going to be like super curious, and you're going to want to know. You're gonna want to know, like, what the hell is he talking about, right? I mean, I would, probably. I don't know about you. So, why can't we apply a similar logic when it comes to the Quran? Allah is warning us. He's telling us, look, bro, like, astaghfirullah, not bro, but look, this is what is gonna happen. And this is a descriptive understanding for you to realize how truly painful it is. But in the end, it's your choice to decide whether you want to go down this path or not. I'm just here to warn you, and that was the job of the Prophet. And a lot of people say Allah guides whom He wills, Allah leads astray whom He wills, but as I just explained earlier, it's us ourselves who would decide that. A lot of people come and ask questions about free will. Oh, if everything is already written, if everything is already in a book recorded, then what's my free will? It's unfair on me. But that's not how it works. Allah commands things from us, and of course nothing happens without the will and the knowledge of Allah, and Allah already knows our future, the future of this universe. Allah has all the knowledge, right? He has no beginning, he has no end. He has nothing like his creation. But we make a certain decision, and Allah uses that will to allow this decision to take place. So these chains on our neck, right, we put them there. And by the way, it doesn't, a lot of people assume that these type of verses only apply to the one that does not believe, who's an atheist, for instance. But it's important to know that Allah also says, do you think that you can just say you believe with your tongue and that would be enough? No, you will be tested, and the one who is, and the hypocrite among you will be brought forward. That's deep, bro. That's mad deep, because you gotta think about it sometimes. Like, how many times are we slave to our desires? Really, I think I'm a slave right now to work, fam. I am probably the best slave right now at my company, at my bank. We get lost, we get distracted, we get so caught up in all of these, irrelevant things. I'm not saying work is irrelevant, work is not irrelevant, but there should be a balance in life, and I think that it's easy to sort of lose that and get lost in that. Anyway, so that was a gist of the first few ayat of Surah Yasin, which I really didn't explain that well because this is the 4th time that I'm doing the video and I am tired of it. But hopefully, you can think about the verses yourself. Use your brain a little bit, goddamn. I'm sorry. I'm hungry now. This looks so weird. Like, it looks like I'm like this, but I'm not. Actually, I'm sitting straight, but I don't know. The way it's just like falling. Wish it was like that. That looks more normal. But then again, I don't care because you can't see me.